So what's up? I'm Jason Britton, and I'm a professional sport bike freestyle rider. Been doing this since '96. It all started at about the age of 2 on a Honda Trail 50. First time ever riding a motorcycle. Just had learned how to ride a bicycle not too long prior to that. And my uncle put me on the Trail 50 and sent me off. My dad thought I was gonna crash and be afraid of motorcycles and never want to see him again. At that time, he didn't know that that was like the thing that ignited my passion. About 9 years old, got a dirt bike, started racing, and on my dirt bike, I would always wheelie. Anytime I'd get a straightaway open area, I'd always do wheelies and stuff like that. And it's not stuff that you're supposed to do on a dirt bike, but that was like the thing for me to do. From there, I got on a street bike. All I wanted to do was wheelie. I knew I didn't have to pack it up in the back of a truck to take it out to the dirt or anything like that. So it kind of really struck and started my passion for sport bikes and wheelies and doing all kinds of things that you shouldn't do on a motorcycle. And then in about 1996 or 97, the guys from X Factor Video approached me about following a guy in the canyons, because I was into road racing as well, and making a canyon riding video. So they strapped a camera to my bike and they said, "You're gonna follow this guy." So I'm following him, and then every straightaway, boom, daylight. Just doing a wheelie every single chance we get. Well, these guys are watching the video back and they're like, watching the turns, "Oh, that's a great shot, oh, that looks awesome." And then the next thing you know, boom, daylight. And they're like, "What the heck is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's a wheelie." "What do you mean a wheelie?" And I'm like, "Yeah, a wheelie." And they're like, "No, it was a long time." And I'm like, "Yeah." I go, "That's what I do. I'm into wheelies." And they're like, so they shifted the whole focus of the video at that time, and it went from a canyon riding video to an all-out assault on the urban streets and highways in California. And the video, you know, oddly enough, became named Urban Assault. It ended up being a sensation, sold hundreds of thousands of copies, and it really kind of got my name out there. That led to, you know, Urban Assault 2, and then eventually another, we actually did shoot a canyon video called All Twisted and Pucked Up, knee pucks, with titanium in the knee pucks. So every time you drag knee, it would shoot sparks like crazy. So yeah, we were definitely the hooligans in anything that we did. About 99, early 2000, me and a buddy of mine founded Team No Limit. We rode together all the time, made videos together, and we would always try and push the level. We had these stickers made at a kiosk in the mall that said a limit, and it had a circle with a line through it. So it was no limit. And it was as simple as that. Like, there was no limit to what we would try or what we could do on the motorcycles. From there, you know, he kind of kept off doing his own thing, and I still had that passion and that vision, and I still lived that no limit lifestyle. That there was nothing that was there's no bounds, no limits that were gonna stop me from doing what I wanted to do. The great benefit in that was about late 2001, early 2002, I had a lot of videos out at that time, and the production from Biker Boys, the movie, and Torque also hired me to do stunts, because they wanted like a different type of riding, and they didn't want to CGI a bunch of stuff. Even though on Torque they did CG a bunch of the stunts. That got me my SAG card and kind of catapulted me kind of to the next level, I'll say, because fast forward to 2005, got my own television show on Speed Channel called Super Bikes. Did that for 5 years, and then they changed the focus of that series to Stealth Rider.
Stealth Riders, you know!
Which we traveled around and did stunts in front of all kinds of like iconic landmarks. So it was pretty cool to get permits to ride places like the Las Vegas Strip, the White House, you know, in DC, Hoover Dam. I mean, just some of the most iconic locations you could ever imagine, and doing it legally and permitted. This took me back to my roots of riding the streets and getting all the crazy footage I could get back in the late 90s with a cool backdrop. But I was now doing it legally, and life had kind of come full circle at that point. In 2007, I got sponsored by Kawasaki, and that really changed the trajectory of my career, I'll say, because there's not a manufacturer out there, even still today, that has such support for a stunt rider and made me feel so much like family as Kawasaki does. They really mean it when they say, let the good times roll. You know, I've been a loyal Kawasaki guy from 2007, from the day I signed with them until current. I believe, honestly, that no one makes a better bike, you know. They're always doing stuff that people say can't be done. Pretty cool to be part of that. And since then, I've gotten to do things with Kawasaki for like the 2013 ZX6R release. We got to shut down Times Square and do stunt shows in Times Square. Like, that's still like one of the highlights of my career. It kind of goes to show that if you stick with anything long enough, you can really make whatever you want out of it. In the beginning, it was completely illegal to do any of this stuff, and the only place to do it was on the street. It's now come to where dealers are booking shows, like we're here at Hebeler's in upstate New York from California, to do stunt shows for a bike night. Like, pretty darn cool. People you get to meet, the places you get to go and see, it's insane. I've met anywhere from, you know, Michael Jordan to Usain Bolt, you know, you name it, from riding motorcycles. And these are guys that you don't even think or know are into riding. And then I've met guys like my heroes, like Valentino Rossi, and he said, oh yeah, I like to do the wheelie like you do. And he's talking about a knack-knack, and I'm like, how do you know that? You know, it's like stuff that makes you really sit back and think like, this is pretty darn cool. These are guys that I look up to. These are guys that are my heroes, you know? And it's crazy to think that these guys are saying, man, you're crazy, you know? So yeah, it's good. Respect was all the way around, and that's a huge blessing. The sport has really evolved. From back in the day, we never had handbrakes. We didn't have crash cages in the beginning. And then you fast forward to, you know, like the late 90s to the early 2000s. We started running handbrakes. The tanks were getting dented and sprockets were getting bigger. And it was just the game evolving. Some guys weren't really into it because it was change, it was different, and it wasn't a stock bike anymore. That evolution just meant it was going somewhere. Not saying that if it didn't have any of these aftermarket parts that it wouldn't go anywhere. I think that it would just be a lot more street based. And my vision was always to, rather than it being on the street and having, you know, innocent people driving their cars and, you know, maybe getting spooked because they're doing a wheelie near them or something and they don't want to be there, was to bring it to a platform where people chose to come and watch and be entertained. You bring it into a more cozy environment, like a dealership or at a NASCAR event or Winter Nationals or anything like that, where you don't have the space allowance that you might need if you were just doing stuff down the interstate. You make changes and adjustments to fit that. And so now the sport from back then has gone from, you know, we don't have anywhere to ride, to how small of a space can we ride in? What new tricks can we come up with? I mean, the evolution of tricks has just been insane, from just basic wheelies, a burnout and a stoppie maybe here and there, to drifting, shuffles, 360s, kangaroo stoppies, you know, 180 stoppies, switchback burnouts, switchback wheelies, everything that you're doing frontwards, do it going backwards. Like, it's just insane. Headstands on motorcycles. I mean, it's just endless. And to see that, and then to see with Europe and Asia and America, there's stunt riders everywhere, every country, all over the world, pretty much. And it's crazy to see the level of riding collectively in the world is just, I would have never imagined this, you know, 20 years ago, that it would be at such a high level. But now Kawasaki's making better motorcycles than ever for stunt riding. Like, it's literally the bike to be had for stunt riding. And just about, you know, probably 80% of stunt riders ride a Kawasaki. But also parts manufacturing. Sponsored by Impact Tech, they make the crash cages, sub-cage, easy pull clutch and stuff like that. So there's actually businesses coming out of the sport of stunt riding. And it's not just specifically for stunt bikes. Like I said, Impact Tech now makes race rails. So if you do want ground clearance, but you want protection, you can have a little extra protection compared to having like frame sliders that could end up tearing the motor mount out or whatever. And then we've got, you know, great parts. We've got like, this bike has Marchesini wheels, Brembo brakes. It's got adjustable clip-ons, full crash protection. I mean, these bikes are built off of my mindset of being a road racer. I want my bikes as light as possible. My cages are chromoly, not just mild steel. When you're chasing that, you know, when you want to be the best at anything, you have to have the best tools as well. Having that evolution is priceless. You can't put a price on it. I'm now the older guy in the game that still has the drive and passion to be the best. If I'm not the best, I've got something to work towards. If I am the best at whatever time, then I'm still pushing to get better. People are talking about, man, give us a chance, or when are you gonna hang it up, or whatever else. Like, keep chasing. I love it, you know? They think that they're chasing me, I'm chasing them. I'm chasing their passion because I see it. I can see guys that are out there that are pushing really hard, that want it really bad, and that just rewinds and brings me back to myself and how hungry I was, and it makes me more hungry to see that in other riders because I know that they want that. So I still want it more. I've been through a lot of injuries, broke my neck twice, back. I've broken just about every bone in my body, at least once, some of them twice or 3 times. So, I mean, I just try and schedule surgeries around my riding so that I can ride as much as possible and, you know, be as ready and at the top of my game as ever. For me, it's just a looping deal. I just evolve, get better, crash, heal up, evolve, you know, like you just keep it moving. And that's really what inspires me, is to always be better. When I first started riding, I used to work at multiple dealerships, and I went to MMI, and then I graduated in Arizona, came back to California, started working for dealers in the, you know, early 90s. So for me, I always had this dream of opening my own motorcycle shop, a service center, you know, eventually over time in 2004, I had a shop, a little small shop in Fullerton, and just worked on my own stuff. And then in 2005, I opened up No Limit Motorsports, formally opened it up in Huntington Beach. And now I'm in a 8,000 square foot building and taking care of customers, whether it's stunt or just a commuter or a full-on road race bike, drag race bike, moto, whatever. We do all of it as far as service and parts and accessories goes. So it's pretty cool to have that dream come to fruition when you just see it from a perspective that you can't imagine it becoming real life, and then it actually happens. You know, I wake up sometimes and think like, my job title is professional sport bike freestyle rider. I get paid to ride my motorcycle. People want my autograph, and I'm just a regular guy. It's crazy to think, you know, where life can take you and where you could end up from doing something that you love, riding motorcycles for me. So now we're just at the point where life is really good, travel around, do shows, make friends in every location that we travel to. And yeah, it's just been an incredible journey. And people are like, man, when are you gonna retire? When are you gonna hang it up? I don't have an expiration date in mind just yet. So just kind of chilling, enjoying life.